God looks down, and his first judgment here is every thought. Every thought was completely and totally evil. That's what happened from the creation 1,600 years later. So he says, this isn't good. But he does find one righteous man. Righteous means right with God. In other words, someone who does consistently obey God. And that was Noah, who had 3 sons. Noah's married. His 3 sons are married. And God gives humanity, this is where we're getting to the great flood. God gives humanity 100 years. He gives them 100 years notice before he floods the earth. But no one listens. No one listens to Noah. Bill Cosby did that routine years ago. But no one listens to Noah. And what he winds up doing is the Lord floods the earth and kills everything that breathes. In effect, he pressed the restart button on the human race. So now we're starting again. And Noah has one of his sons is called Shem. And Shem gets a special blessing from Noah. And from Shem's line comes a man called Abraham, who is now going to be the father of this new nation called the chosen people. If we can get to volunteer number 2 here. Give me a second. You get there. This is on page 11. Genesis 12, 1-3 on page 11. Can we just flip over quickly? All right. Go ahead.
The Lord had said to Abram, "Leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous, and you will be a blessing to others. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who treat you with contempt. All the families on earth will be blessed through you."
Wow. All the families on earth will be blessed through you. So he picks up this Abram. He picks them out of nowhere, this Abram and Sarah. And what they don't tell you here is that Abram is 75 years old. She's 65 years old. And they're a barren couple. So here's God choosing these 2 people who can't have children and says, "I'm going to make you into a great nation." That's a hard act to follow. This great nation would be later called the Israelites, and it is a new race built from scratch with a unique relationship with God. God's going to work with these Israelites. This is different than the way he first started the human race. Now, if you look at these promises he gave to Abram, the first one, he's going to build them into a great nation, which is pretty unbelievable given who they are and their age. But he, at the end, says, all the families on earth will be blessed through you. That's the promise that we're going to start seeing as a theme as we go through here. Now, as we read on with Abram, we find out that he wasn't a model citizen with regard to his relationship with God. And he sort of believed God, and then he sort of went his own way and didn't really trust God until we get to volunteer number 3, which is Genesis 15, 1-6. Big change takes place. Who is on my volunteer number 3? We're over here? Okay, good.
Sometime later, the Lord spoke to Abram in a vision and said to him, "Do not be afraid, Abram. I will protect you, and your reward will be great." But Abram replied, "O sovereign Lord, what good are all your blessings when I don't even have a son? Since you've given me no children, Elijah of Damascus, a servant in my household will inherit all my wealth. You have given me no descendants of my own, so no one of my servants will be my heir." Then the Lord said to him, "No, your servant will not be your heir, for you will have a son of your own who will be your heir." Then the Lord took Abram outside and said to him, "Look up into the sky and count the stars if you can. That's how many descendants you will have." And Abram believed the Lord, and the Lord counted him as righteous because of his faith.
Wow. So the Lord says to Abram, who's really not believing him up front, he's doubting him, says, look in this, gives him this visual. It says, look at those stars. You're going to have that many descendants. You won't be able to count them. And at that point, Abram believed him, and the Lord counted him as righteous because of his faith. Not from what he did, but because he finally trusted God. Now, once he trusted God, God could now reveal something else to him. And if we could go to Genesis 15, verses 12 to 15. And this will be my reader number 4. Go for it.
As the sun was going down, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and a terrifying darkness came down over him. Then the Lord said to Abram, "You can be sure that your descendants will be strangers in a foreign land, where they will be oppressed as slaves for over 400 years. But I will punish the nation that enslaves them, and in the end they will come away with great wealth. As for you, you will die in peace and be buried at a ripe old age."
All right, so what we see here is that Abram God is talking to Abram about future generations, way future generations. Now, keep in mind, I mean, this is some old man and his wife that don't have any kids yet. And he's talking about in 400 years, you're going to, in multiple generations, your descendants are going to be in slavery in a foreign land for 400 years. And it's like, okay. So only God can give a prophecy like that, a prophecy being a future prediction. But I think the best prophecy in the Bible was verse 15, where it says, you'll have a great life and you're going to die at a ripe old age. I don't think any of us would not, I mean, we'd all love to hear that one from God, right? So if he wants to speak to us right now, that would be a good thing, man. Fill this room with that. So dying at a ripe old age. Now what happens is, in Genesis 21, is we actually see that God does eventually fulfill his promise. And little Isaac is born. Now his mother's 90. She just laughs when Isaac's born. She just can't believe it. And she names him Isaac, which means in Hebrew, laughing boy. So there you have it. Very clever.